So yesterday we started off with a weather-based saying in the form of every cloud has a silver lining. I can go one, I was going to say one better, one worse today. It never rains but it pours, and that's certainly the case in terms of West Ham's injury crisis. Well, I say crisis, I don't know if it's quite a crisis, but I'll tell you what, it's awfully bad luck. Michail Antonio was injured playing for Jamaica against Canada. Thought it was a hamstring, turns out it might be knee ligaments. And then shortly after I posted yesterday's video with the Antonio update, we got the news that Jarrod Bowen has not flown to Macedonia with the England squad. He's been sent home. He's been sent home, he's been injured. He got injured on international duty. Now, the really weird thing is that Gareth Southgate was speaking about it in his press conference ahead of the game, and he mentioned that Jarrod Bowen had trained and that he had felt the injury, which may be a knee injury, by the way, and I don't want to over-sensationalise it. The fact that he's trained means, like, well, it's not, his knee's not fallen off or anything like that, right? So I touch wood, it's not an ACL. However, he's clearly had a knock to his knee or some kind of slight strain, because Southgate said he was feeling it a bit. Jarrod Bowen was feeling a bit, meaning the knee, before training. And he went and trained, and then he trained the next day, and then during that training session, they've decided to pull him out because he was feeling it a bit more, I guess. And they've sent him home. I mean, this is really, really bad news, and I don't want to go... Look, as somebody, West Ham fans, we're a little bit sensitive to this sort of stuff, particularly given what happened to Dean Ashton when Sean Wright-Phillips pretty much ended his career with the tackle that happened in England training. Look, he came back and he played some more, but he was never the same again. Eventually, he had to retire in his mid-20s, basically, didn't he, Dean Ashton? So we're a little bit sensitive to this sort of stuff, really. How and why he was allowed to train, I've absolutely no idea at all. So there you go. We find ourselves in a situation now where our main striker, and I know not every... Look, I read the comments the other day, and I'm not suggesting Michail Antonio is the best player in the world. I'm really not, but there's a lot of comments in there saying, you know, no loss at all, Antonio. It is a loss. I totally disagree with that. I'm not saying he should start, but I thought Antonio had a really big role to play. I wanted him to be an impact sub, actually, this season. The moment Antonio's missing, then Jarrod Bowen then becomes our first choice striker. I don't think that's ideal, by the way, because it just means Jarrod Bowen's got to play through the middle, which I don't think he's suited to for half the games anyway, because I think it's only really suited to a counter-attacking game. I've already gone on to that, but I also think it means Mohamed Kudus is going to have to play on that right-hand side. It means they're going to have to play 90 minutes, the pair of them, pretty much most of the time. And we can't do that. We've seen how knackered we get when we play in Europe. So for Bowen to go down as well, that is a loss. That means that, well, he's going to have to be a little bit creative, really, is he? And if what David Moyes is going to do is maybe play Kudus up front or something like that, because let's be fair, all of those things are more believable than Divine Mubama playing up there, or even Callum Marshall, who is the form youth player in the country, right? And by the way, he's just played international football got his second cap, I think, for Northern Ireland, Callum Marshall. So, and he's absolutely killing at the EFL trophy. So he's playing men's football as well. Let me just put that out there. But it's far more likely that David Moyes will shuffle the pack in terms of the senior players rather than him using any of the young lads. It means what we're going to have is either Danny Ings up top, or maybe he puts Kudus up top, then we're doing a wing. Saib Benrahma left wing, Fornals right wing. I don't know. I mean, it ain't great, whichever way you sort of look at it, really. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Personally, I really do think this is a time for David Moyes to swallow his pride, and whatever happened with Maxwell Cornet, well, we all think we know what happened. Maxwell Cornet chose to use his own medics when he was injured, disappeared off to France for what seemed like, well, it doesn't seem like a long time, it was 5 months. It's a long time. I know he wasn't in France for the whole of the 5 months, but that's how long he was missing with injury. I think he's been on a naughty step for long enough, quite frankly. I think David Moyes is going to have to try and utilise this player, because we cannot survive with Danny Ings playing up front. Look, Jarrod Bowen's knee injury might not be as bad as we think. Michail Antonio's knee injury might not be as bad as we think, but it is certainly highlighted the need for a striker. We've been linked with Santiago Gomez. Santiago Gomez is an interesting one, actually, because... Santiago Gimenez. And he is interesting. He's actually Argentinian striker, but he represents Mexico. I think he was born in Buenos Aires. His parents are Mexican. Plays at Feyenoord. Obviously, he's a teammate of Edson Alvarez. Plays at Feyenoord, but that's the interesting thing is that's under Arne Slot, who is the coach at Feyenoord. Now, this is really interesting because West Ham have been linked with this guy for quite a long time. We linked to him last season, definitely did at least one video on him last season, maybe two. And he's hailed as the most attacking coach in European football. That's what he gets called, honestly. In fact, they say he's the most attacking coach in Holland since Johan Cruyff was manager of Ajax years ago. Really free scoring team anyway. So we're linked with him, but Gimenez, he plays up front for Feyenoord. Scored plenty of goals. Well, he scored an okay number of goals last season. Very, very prolific this season. I don't know. I don't know how much truth there is in it, but West Ham are going to need to get some strikers in. Do you know what? I meant to say a striker, but maybe I'm not too far wrong in some strikers. There's money in the bank. I know there is. So I say I know there is. The maths back that up, and I'm not the best at maths, but if you look at who we sold in the summer and look at what we got for them, look at how much we would have had left over from the previous season's Sky TV money and European run. If you look at how much we spent, and then you listen to Kieran Maguire, who came onto Hammer's Chat, who is the expert on football finances, West Ham got some money to spend, so I think we need to go out and spend it, certainly. Some other little bit of news, actually, which... I say news, it's weird. Okay, so Vladimir Coufal and 3 of his teammates have been, well, actually him and 2 of his teammates, been kicked out the Czech Republic squad, who are due to play Macedonia this week. Now, all I can say is they've been out for a night on the sauce, quite frankly. They've been, they went out to a nightclub, and let me just get the guy's name, Jakub something. Let me just, Jakub Brebic. Jakub Brabic. Okay, this guy, if you've seen it on Twitter, this guy was smashed. Honestly, he was mullered. He really was. He was out in the street outside this nightclub, and you've got to remember the Czech Republic are out on international duty. He's wandering, he's staggering about into the road. Honestly, it's yeah, he was in a right old state. There's no such video footage of Coufal, but there's plenty of footage, still pictures from inside the nightclub. And anyway, so 3 of them have been kicked out of the squad. I don't know. I shouldn't laugh. He's got plenty of time to sober up ahead of the Burnley game. Let's be perfectly honest with you. So I've got to be honest here. I'm not that upset. The reason I laugh is I think we've already lost enough players to international injury, if you like, this week. The fact that one of them's coming home early because he's had his bum smacked by his international manager, I sort of don't mind so much. I really don't. I don't question Coufal's commitment to West Ham, not one little bit. But if it means one less player to get injured, fine. As I understand it, Thomas Souček took a massive knock to the head as well. Don't know how concussion protocols are going to impact that. Obviously, Nigel Gerd got injured. It's before in the game before we went for international break. Was down for quite a long. Was in the stadium. Was down for quite a long time, wasn't it? Anyway, we've had a really good start to the season in terms of injury. We've done all right. Ain't so good now. Not looking so clever at all with injury. So we've got to be really, really careful now. I'll say it again. I've said it already. I mean, maybe it is an opportunity to give these youngsters a chance, and maybe give some people in the squad a chance who have not really featured very much, like Maxwell Cornet, like Thilo Kehrer. Now let's give these guys a go, and let's get Divine Mabama out there as well, and let's see if he's good enough. We won't get a better opportunity to test it out now. We've got a favourable run of games coming up. We're playing Burnley, who are one of the whipping boys in the Premier League. We're top of the group in the Europa League. We've got Freiburg, and we've got Baka Topola left. Come on, I mean, if you can't do it now, and it will give us an opportunity with Tottenham on the horizon, Tottenham away, isn't it? Give us an opportunity to maybe get some of those players back and fit for that game. And look, I know they've had a little bit of a dip, haven't they, Tottenham recently? But they're better this season. There's no doubt about it. They're sizzling in terms of their attacking play. What we can't do against a team like that is just sit back all the time. We're going to have present some form of counter-attacking threat. And if we're going to do that, David Moyes is going to have to find an answer, because if Jarrod Bowen and Michail Antonio are both out, he needs to sort something out as well. And it ain't just sticking Kudus up front, because then we'll have no threat from wide positions at all. Anyway, there you go. News roundup for today. A little bit miserable. Hopefully a little bit better news tomorrow.